It's 683, and you had
683. I can change that back, right?
Yeah, of course.
Funny number.
The case is going quite well. I have made up a list of suspects.
Ah, and how many suspects do you have?
27,600.
I'd actually been thinking, I'd really like to do a big physical comedy. When this came along, it just really seemed ideal. I thought about it, then I actually tried writing a few scenes. And I ran them by Sean. We met in the parking lot one day, and I said, well, I have these ideas.
Steve actually acted out one of the first scenes that he had come up with. And little by little, it became clear to both of us there was the makings of a really funny movie there.
I see you have one of these collapsible pointers, very useful.
Have one of these, you just snap it.
It's physical humor. It's what Keaton did. It's what Chaplin did. It's played, forever. It's the 40th anniversary next year of the original Pink Panther, so I think that's one of the motivations behind MGM getting this going.
And the hope is to take elements that are beloved and really familiar and, remembered very fondly, rightfully so, to use them and then to modify them and make them feel of this moment.
You are Venka?
Yes. And who are you?
I am Inspector Clouseau. Perhaps you have heard of me.
Steve's not trying to imitate or compete with Peter Sellers.
Action, Steve. In fact, I have a message for the killer. I have to go.
Steve has a wit that's very, I think, unique. And that's a new level of comedy to this iteration of the Pink Panther. It's comedy of a different kind.
Do not leave Europe.
But I have to go to Asia.
Okay. Do not leave Europe or Asia.
Well, we have one game in Brazil.
All right. Do not leave Europe, Asia, or the Americas.
There's a whole generation that doesn't know the Pink Panther, doesn't know those films, and I think that to inherit this great character of Clouseau and to bring him back to life in a new way, in kind of Steve's way, it's good timing.
The great comic characters are not perfect people. That, Clouseau is a little arrogant.
I'll be honest with you, I find your accent quite funny.
And he's a little stupid.
He was just found dead in the training facility locker room, shot in the head.
Was it fatal?
Then he's a little sexual.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Let the games begin.
There's just a lot of human qualities to him. And, of course, it was played brilliantly by Peter Sellers and shot brilliantly by Blake Edwards.
What Sellers did was uniquely his, as what Steve is doing is uniquely Steve's.
It's funny. Just give me a nice beat of that tableau. That was good. That was good.
Steve Martin is, in his own right, as brilliant a comedian as Sellers was. And they're just very different takes on a character. But Steve Martin managed to make the part his own.
One thing I realized when I looked at those movies, that Peter Sellers, I could tell that he felt funny. And I was a long way from that feeling when I first started thinking about it. But I knew that's what had to happen. It had to actually feel funny to me, and that way it would come out different. And it would come out actually funny because of, my own comic sense, I hope.
And I remember him saying he would have to figure out the walk, the posture, the accent, the voice.
And, rather than do an impression of Sellers' version of the accent, Steve Martin does his own version of the accent, which is incomprehensible at times, which is what makes the accent so much fun.
Deduction.
Deduction.
Which you did it for.
A web of deduction, forensic science.
He always knew that he would only feel comfortable playing the role when he'd figured out the outside, the shell.
Right now, the killer is being surrounded by a web of deduction, forensic science, and the latest in technology, such as two-way radios and email.
You've got Clouseau in a modern world. You've got him dealing with things like email, and you've got him dealing with things like computers and cell phones.
Hey, by the way, maybe while we're here, I should ad-lib more technology things.
That's a good idea.
Just to have it. So start making a list. We have the sirens that go on top of cars, You know, we have the Doppler effect.
Hopefully, we're taking a timeless sense of humor and we're blending it with an awareness of the way things are now. The bad guys are getting it in the back. They're flailing as they collapse to the ground. He arrives at this end, he hops off, disconnects, climbs back through the hole, coming towards you, Cut.
How we cut?
Well, I'm exhausted. Check the game.
Sean is very young. But, having said that, he seems very wise.
All right, well, I think we're making good time.
And he wants to make it fun, and he has a great tempo when he works.
And action!
The director is really important for me because I'm a new actor and I want to really be around someone who's going to challenge me and tell me the truth, you know. How do I react?
Basically what it is, it's him and like 20 cops just aggressively moving through the crowd to arrest it. So I think it's just startled.
Okay.
And I play it small because we're quite tight.
Okay. He's great and he has such great energy and it feeds off to everyone else and he's probably the reason why everyone has such great energy because you just get it from Sean.
We are in for a lovely summer.
It's a little too much.
Exactly.
Sean and Steve, having done a film before, have a great relationship and a great shorthand, and they seem to be on the same page.
So, Sparks, what say you? Does it help?
There was a little less. Want a small one?
Yeah, can you go smaller?
I think it's good.
Sean and I, first of all, have a very similar view of comedy, which is really hard to find. And I also think we have achieved a kind of understanding with each other, a real shorthand of that's funny, that's not funny, that is funny, let's try it, that's not, well, maybe it'll work. There's always agreement or trying.
Are you all right?
Well, of course I'm all right. And what is that?
What?
Would it be funny to do the thing like this? Or to go, what is that?
What?
No. I think it's good. Well, that does make me laugh too.
And I've always learned that the funniest thing in the movie is something that has been thought up that day, that hour, or that minute.
You know what? Well, I'm gonna want both now.
Okay.
So
We'll do that one
Do that one now.
And you can't have a restrictive environment for that to happen. And this is the opposite of that.
And what is that? The area is secure.
Want to do the other one?
Okay. You have that one,
Yeah,
right?
that was really funny.
Why were you being so elusive today?
I was afraid of LaRock. He might be following me.
Look, the casino owner.
He sent out word threatening to kill anyone in possession of the Pink Panther.
And cut. That was quite good.
Steve Martin, I learned a lot from, actually. He's so professional, and just watching him in rehearsals, we would do certain scenes, and he'd go back and change things, and that was exciting for me, learning and watching.
Steve tying his shoe. An actor prepares.
Where's my shoe tying person?
Steve is impossible to work with because of his ego.
7!
I hate you, you nitwit.
And also there's the age factor.
Since I don't have my glasses.
He is getting on and he sometimes forgets what movie he's doing.
I got my glasses, I stabbed you.
It's just been so amazing to be in a scene with Steve Martin and feel like, you know, I'm with the comedy genius of certainly my generation and before.
But if you know, give him a jolt or just talk to him quietly, he eventually comes around and can be very focused.
I mean, the fact that I'm in this movie is probably my father's most proud moment for me.
We have to feed him most of his lines one at a time.
One clue leading inexorably.
But that's the beauty of film.
Leading inexorably to the next.
You can get a performance out of him even at his advanced age.
Would like to buy a hamburger.
Amber.
Hamburger.
Amber.
Hamburger.
Amber.
And his severely compromised mental condition.
I would like to buy a burger.
I would like to buy a hamburger.
The burger.
Luan was in China. The poison is from
China. The Chinese are from
China. We offered the role of Dreyfus to Kevin. Kevin loved the screenplay, but ultimately I'm convinced that what nudged it over the edge was the fact that Kevin and Steve are so close and very much wanted to work together.
We'd never done comedy. We certainly never done comedy on film together. So it was that opportunity, which when it presented itself, I jumped at the chance.
I love Kevin Kline. He is so sweet and so good.
Well, you know, I tend to bring out the best in everyone.
Him and Steve together, it's just, I feel so lucky to watch that. It's magical. They're like old friends, you know?
In the past was the Pink Panther.
Wow.
Is that my line? I worked with him on Grand Canyon, and I've known him a lot of years, and we kind of have the same sense of humor, and he's a great actor. It's fun to hang out with him on the set.
Yeah, as I think we both assumed, the comic rapport between us. Let me just tell her to quiet down for a second. Hey, keep it down. This is important.
Kevin, Steve, and I would spend hours at Steve's apartments in New York City, and we'd chat. And those chats became improv, and that improv became, hey, what if I did this? Or what if I did that?
Yeah, I thought up most of the funny stuff. I'm pretty sure.
Beyonce was one of our first ideas in the role of Zania. I had hired Beyonce 5 years ago.
Sean gave me my first acting role, and it's really funny. He gave me a copy of it, actually, so I can remember, and I'm like watching it like, oh no.
Beyonce brings to this movie just a dimension of youth and freshness and pop.
She can't walk down the street, she's so famous. And you know, she's very pretty, very sweet. She's young and very charming.
Ah, Beyonce. I had about 5 seconds with Beyonce, and they were 5 of the happiest seconds I've ever spent in a film.
Nice to look at.
People say that it's not normal that people are just this nice, and it's just such an easygoing, cool vibe, and everyone's just been amazing.
I'm sticking next to the singing girl.
I've been assigned to work with you.
And what qualifications do you have for police work?
My family has done police work in Paris for 9 generations.
And before that?
Immigrants from various countries in Europe, all involved in police work.
And before that?
I don't know.
You don't think it might be better? Instead of his line, I said before that he goes, I don't know. He goes, farmers.
Okay, that's good.
And before that?
Farmers.
So you are a little lamb who has come to Clouseau for to learn.
The role of Ponton was actually the hardest because we needed an actor who understood comedy, but also, therefore, understood when it was not his job to be the comedy.
Remind me of your name?
I started on theater a long time ago with a comedian, and he said, every time you want to laugh, you go like that. Put your finger here and hurt yourself, because you can ruin a scene if you laugh. So I try never laugh, because I respect the work of my companions.
Well, I looked at dailies of just you in the car, you know, I'm trying to teach you about crime. You know that? It's so good. Your stuff was so good.
I like very much Steve. We talk about literature, philosophy, and also he's a great collector. So we had a lot of subjects of conversation, wine, and life, women, whatever, you know.
Jean Reno, very sweet, funny, lively guy.
What's your name again?
With a, you know, good, bold, strong attitude towards life and very charming.
Put your seatbelt. Who needs a seatbelt?
Right.
Who needs a seatbelt? Much better. Oh, okay. Who needs a seatbelt? Let's see what this baby can do.
Good.
I'm very happy to do comedies because I think a comedy is something very nice to do because everybody's smiling, everybody's trying to make other people laugh, which is very good for me. Because when you laugh, it helps.
Our movie is shot not like a comedy, where you've got basically, you know, jokes playing in brightly lit close-ups. We're very much taking advantage of Paris, of being in these incredible French locations, of New York City, and the reality of that.
The Pink Panther lives in its own period. It's not the past, it's not the present. And I wanted to give both New York and Paris a kind of buffed up quality so that they were slightly less edgy and less real and more our dream of Paris and our dream of New York.
We shot 5 weeks in New York, and which is an exciting town.
Steve and I thought it would be fun to shoot in New York City. The idea of Clouseau, the, you know, consummate, ultimate Frenchman, wearing an I Love New York baseball cap in the middle of New York, it just seemed like there was something jarring and mismatched and therefore funny about that. Good. All right. Ready?
New York's a tough place to shoot a movie, especially on the street. It's a great place to be, but when you're on the street and you've got Steve Martin or Beyonce, it's very difficult.
I'm not sure what we were thinking. At first it seemed like it would be glamorous and kind of fun. Now it seems wildly impractical and painfully slow. Because you're constantly marshaling thousands of fans who see the Pink Panther shooting with Beyonce and Steve. They're gonna stop and watch.
And there were crazy amounts of paparazzi everywhere you turned. So that was a little difficult, and the crowds just were, it was crazy, but fun.
Weird how many French people are here. But I can't blame them. It's a beautiful city. Early on, I thought I can join the army and see the world, or I could be an actor and see the world. I chose the latter and have gotten to travel quite a bit, and I enjoy it. I always love coming to France. I like filming there. The food's good, the crews are great.
We went to Paris for 2 weeks, which, you know, of course, that's amazing. I had a little time off so I can get some shopping and sightseeing in, which is always important.
You know, how am I supposed to be able to work in a cuff like this?
From the get-go, Steve had this idea of the wardrobe. He knew that he wanted kind of a 60s slim line, tight to the body.
Clouseau's very well dressed in this movie, much better dressed than he ever was in the Sellers version, where he was mostly identified with, you know, the trench coat and the hat.
We wanted to definitely add an element of humor to the costumes as well, and that's the fun part of it, is to find some subtle things that you can do with each character. It was slightly period looking, but still very attractive, but amusing, and I changed the proportions so that his jackets are a little too tight, a little short, his pants also too short, so you see some striped socks. It's still being believable, but a little off-center.
So, this is, by the way, where you start, exactly on this one.
Steve has sort of quite a fun transformation. He arrives, and in order to sneak into the ball, he has to wear a camouflage suit.
Why is this so interesting? Well, you're gonna have some good footage there. There's your footage.
He wears a leotard that matches the curtains on one side and matches the wall on the other. So they have to do a sort of a flip-flop all the way through the ballroom in order to blend in.
So we had to find a fabric with a very small pattern that wasn't too aggressive. Now, we couldn't find anything that made any sense, but it had to have a big pattern. So here it's marble. You know, and it's ugly. I'm sorry, and it's unexplainable, but it's a gag. And once they do the gag, we throw the wall out the window.
In terms of Beyonce's dress, the inspiration for her character was Josephine Baker, who was, of course, a famous American that came here in the 1920s and was the toast of Paris. So that's how it came across with the beating idea for Beyonce's dress.
It's just beautiful. It wasn't the most comfortable thing, but it was beautiful. It had the slit and it was dancing, it was shining. I felt like Marilyn mixed with a little Josephine Baker, and all of the clothes have had this kind of old vintage, kind of 40s, very Paris fashion, you know, a little bit of Josephine Baker, but a modern day, which is someone I love.
You're doing the Pink Panther. You've got one of the most brilliant, memorable themes in movie history. That said, part of what we're trying to do here overall is to be respectful and referential to the original franchise, but being clearly of this moment, making a movie that is clearly our own. So with the help of my composer and sampling, we're gonna take the Mancini theme, remix it, rearrange it, reorchestrate it so that it feels now.
Da-da, da-da, da-dum.
Ta-dum, ta-dum, ta-dum.
Da-dum.
Ta-dum.
Da-dum, da-dum.
That's all I can.
Something like that.
All right, today begins the filming of the climax of the movie. So we're here at the Sorbonne in buildings that have been here for, 500-600 years. And we're using this location as a presidential palace. And as you can see, lots of fancily dressed people. The idea here is it's a big fancy party, and Beyonce's here performing a song. All of the kind of glitterati, powerful people are here, and Clouzot is convinced that there's going to be another murder attempted at this site. So basically, while all this stuff is happening, Clouzot is in a race against time to stop the murder, uncover the villain, and save the day. So that's what we're about to start shooting.
Yes, this has been in the planning for months. Countless phone calls between U.S. and Paris, going over every detail.
Okay, hold on. A little lesson. You're not supposed to make the first AD famous. You're supposed to make the director
No, he is famous already. You are famous.
All
They
right,
just want
okay.
a little
All right, give
side
my
about
boy some
how
love.
this came together. That's all.
Okay, it's all about the ADing. So
no,
I'm gonna let
it's
Marty
only
speak.
a little is about
Go
the
ahead.
ADing. This is what it's all about, and figuring all these plans out, and who comes when, and what gets shot at what time, and figuring it out from the ground up. The script to the breakdown sheets to the actual page of shooting, where every extra has a time, every piece of set dressing, music, wardrobe, hair and makeup, everything gets figured out scientifically, and it all goes on this page.
This was a tricky location because we knew that we needed formality. We knew that we needed scale. We knew that we needed staircases because one of the kind of action/comedic pieces is a bunch of guys in quick succession sliding down banisters. So staircases, formality, a place for Beyonce to perform, a place for the orchestra to be, and oddly enough, within all that, we needed a wall with drapes or wallpaper for Clouzot to camouflage himself against.
We found ourselves in the Sorbonne, which stylistically is not correct. So we've had to dress it to make it a little bit more presidential.
The location was so beautiful. The ceilings, all the little details, it was so great.
And basically, the dressing that I'm doing here is in order to quiet it down because it's a very live room, and to make it as elegant as possible.
Well, I mean, basically, this space on its own is a white, cavernous, though beautiful space. So we've added, you know, mini kind of candelabras to give a little glitter in the background. We've added a lot of flowers. We've added these rugs everywhere. We've added red carpet on all the staircases, tapestries hanging from the wall. So basically, we've added a lot of stuff to break up the stark kind of, you know, monochromatic whiteness of the joint. And I think, you know, we've succeeded to a large degree.
And all the costumes, everyone looked fabulous. It was amazing. Lots of extras. Lots of very fabulous extras. I've never seen extras dressed like that. They look great.
This, the ballroom scene, speaking with Sean, we decided to do it in white tie and tails, so this would raise the elegance. We have several hundred extras here, which was quite a challenge to get these ball gowns. A lot of them came from the United States, and we picked up a few rentals here and then refurbished them and accessorized them.
And where's the security guard who says we?
The security guard who, and that part I'm not going to shoot in this shot.
I could never follow exactly what's happening in the ballroom scene because so much is going on.
What?
And as the character, I choose not to be aware of anything other than myself. I can then continue the delusion that the movie's actually about me.
I believe that every ending that is about pursuit needs ideas. And so that's what I tried to do in that scene, was to bring in some, you know, original, comic, surprising ideas. So you're always being intrigued a bit by what is going on. I think you need to get, like, you need to see this,
You, yeah.
this, and then Jean starts. Is that possible?
Yes, that might be a different shot, but I think that is funny.
And trying to sneak in, he comes up with a scheme where he wears a leotard that's matches the curtains on one side and matches the wall on the other.
So we change each other, the position, marble, tissue, marble curtain. They said it is very funny.
The end of your hero career.
Yeah, I know. And I was happy to do it because when you see yourself doing that, it is like a little kid.
For a woman like me.
The music is a huge part of this sequence, and it was tricky to find the right song. And we then listened to, you know, dozens and dozens of songs by some major names. But should we start by having you just listen to it?
Yeah.
And then we can talk about it.
Sean heard A Woman Like Me and let me hear it. And I really loved it because it was strong. And it definitely fit the character. She's talking a lot of noise. She's like, do you think you can handle me? You know, a strong woman.
Then we went into the studio with Beyonce, and I mean, that girl can make it her own like nobody can. She was on fire.
It has the strength of like a Tina Turner song, but it has the mystery of like a James Bond song.
And she's doubling and tripling her own voices. She's basically laying in 6, 7-part harmonies with herself.
Let me do it one more time with a strong ending.
We've got backup singers pretending to sing backup, but every voice you hear on this track is Beyonce singing her own harmonies, so it's impressive.
Sometimes I'm just out of control.
This will be where Beyonce performs, and you know, in front of her will be hundreds of enraptured audience members.
Rolling. 161, take 2, A and D camera.
Go. Go, ready, and playback.
And the beginning of it, the music is just the orchestra, and it's very dramatic, and it's silhouetted, and, you know, I pull out this lipstick, and it's very grand, but I love it. And then the beat kicks in, and then you see my background dancers, and it's kind of like a James Brown, like a sophisticated James Brown. They take my jacket, and they take my purse, and at the end, I do the little, ooh, all of that, and then they put the purse back on my pinky. Shortly after my performance, Jean and Steve Martin, they slide down the banister of the stairs. And it's a huge banister. So it's like very shocking, and it interrupts everything.
So that in the final kind of climax, Dreyfus is looking at 3 black-clad masked men, and he doesn't know which one is the bad guy. Ultimately, Clouseau reveals himself in a typically bumbling way. Yeah, when you're about here, Clouseau would get up, but then he should make it, he needs to delay so that it looks like he's falling right when you get here. Yes. So that I believe that he landed on you.
So in the ballroom sequence, this is really important because this is the end of the movie. We know who is the killer, so we had to use stunt doubles. So we had the guys going down the ramp on the banister, and it was quite hard to control them. Chad wanted to have Clouseau's falling and Yuri's stunt double arriving in the meantime, and that means the guys got a cable, and we've got descender, and with a brake, and we stopped the stuntman just before he hit the floor.
And action!
No! Ready, and action.
In the name of the statutes and laws of the great nation of France, I arrest you for the murder of Yves Glouan. Yuri, the traitor who trains. The case is closed.
Bravo, Clouseau.
You need a line. You need that line. What? That line about the ring belongs to the state.
I am sorry, Inspector.
Yet another yes, but, and then, no, thank you.
No, we don't need.
Okay. I just wanted to
I
get felt.
don't,
Unless you miss it.
as the character? No.
Okay,
Unless I can say, but how did you know it was in
What about
the
screen
first?
time?
That, well, I'm thinking I'm doing okay on that score.
He's working at first.
I'm sticking next to the singing girl.
Okay.
I just think we should lower it a little bit. And just twist it this way and trim those bolts.
No, stand by the window so you can be cool.
This is French air conditioning. We're here at the Sorbonne, the oldest university in Europe.
Everyone, have my 3 been touched up? They've all been touched up, Marty?
Yes.
Charlie?
We're all ready. We're ready to go.
Ready, and camera, and action.
So I will now turn over the microphone to the man with unique talents, a man brought in specially for this case, Inspector Jacques Clouseau.
Yes? Good. Print. This is what you need to do. When he steps forward, everyone should be flashing and calling out, Inspector, Inspector, everyone.
Okay.
Then when Steve points to Alice, they should go quiet. Okay. What I would do now is, can you give me this on Steve and this on Steve simultaneously? Okay.
It's into this camera?
It's into this camera. This
Okay.
is Stephen who'll be zooming in on
There we
you.
go.
All right.
Quiet.
Alors, tout le monde en fait comme en avant, avec la même énergie.
Christophe, a tiny bit tighter.
Set.
Ready, And action.
So I will now turn over the microphone to the man with unique talents, a man brought in specially for this case, Inspector Jacques Clouseau.
Yes?
What's your method of investigation, Inspector?
Starting with an initial premise, I deduce certain effects. Everything else follows like liquid mercury flowing down a sloping thing.
Excuse me, do you know if the killer was a man or a woman?
Well, of course I know that. What else is there? A kitten?
So good. Print, check the gates. Johnny.
New York, it's every 2 hours.
Diane, print A camera, print B camera. Okay.
Like maybe the widest. I want to see the end to see how that's right.
It's not.
What?
I'm not yet in
Oh,
the
you're not in
exact
that,
right
right?
frame
Okay.
for it, but I'll show you. You can play it.
Flowing down a sloping thing. Killer, I will find
Now
you.
this I'm going to cover
because
with
I
a
must
push
serve the
in.
nation. Because justice is justice, and because France is France.
See what? Can we hold that? Yeah, we need to hold that.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Speed.
Set. And action, Steve.
In fact, I have a message for the killer. There is no place you can hide. There is no place you cannot be seen. Killer, I will find you. Because I am a servant of the nation. Because justice is justice. And because France is France.
Stop here. Come around.
Okay, we should start rehearsing.
Yes.
And we want some big, wide stuff at the game, like real television football coverage, okay?
Johnny, how far did you get?
We ended up here for when he races.
Where's he?
Oh,
He wants to
we have
know
a mark somewhere.
2 cameras in the stands, over fans to him holding the ring up. We see the crowd, we see the whole world. He raises up his hand and the crowd goes crazy. You guys are all spread out here working out.
So Jason, you turn a little faster. So we come here, you're turning away from us, right? Yeah. And then we're no longer going to end up here. We're going to stop. So Jason, you'll feel us stop. Feet, go. Okay, now do not do the wraparound. Okay. So just once you're here, you stay here. Okay, fine. He's going to do this. He will turn and show the ring to everyone, but you don't move. Action! storyboard?
This is storyboard. That was pretty good. That was a 24.
Okay. Cut. We're gonna be on him, and then he's gonna turn to her.
Right?
Left.
Okay. Photograph.
Then this guy.
Jason comes in, she comes up, so you want to be tight on her, look talking to him. Okay? All right, guys, hold on. Let's see your positions. How's this?
Beyonce. How's that?
Take your look. Yeah. How's that? Take your look. Okay. Thank you. Great. On the slate, it should be 17.
Beyonce, once you're down, kind of jog out of frame to him.
Set.
You're on Beyonce, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just starting off and going on.
You know what? Be on her this time.
Okay.
Ready?
1, 2, 3.
That was hilarious. Can you believe that?
So, Marty, Jonathan needs to go to the ring shot now. That means everyone except Jason is on a 20-minute break.
Well, is that your number one? No. That's your end. Sean, you want it to be closer, right? All right, I'm going to go up there.
Just go static right there, please. Static right there.
A little more to your left.
Jason, straighten out your chin. Yeah. And cut.
Start on these guys. Okay?
So basically, you fight your way through and you just stay in the vicinity while you jostle around. Okay?
Ready. And action.
Tip it up and down.
The only problem is here will be over her left.
want to rig it to this.
Come on. Tell me where. Put the cameras in there.
We're gonna sit Kevin in. We're about ready.
Let's bring the camera back here and let's rehearse the masters. Guys, you should step out for a sec. You can take the gadget.
We have to do the set?
Well, just let them get the camera back.
Yeah, about the camera.
Sure. Here, we'll rehearse the whole thing right now. Okay, so Kevin, we'll go from the very top.
And you want to cue? We want to cue Steve.
You
just
cue
as he
Steve.
cues
No,
close to the
no.
scene.
When Kevin comes to the gendarme outfit, cue him.
Okay.
Here we go.
Rehearsing. Background.
And action.
Clouseau?
Nicole, could I see you in my office? I'm going into my office, Nicole. Hi. Dude, we need frickin' Clouseau. I mean, really what you need is you need Kevin going like this, leaving the frame, and Clouseau.
Why didn't someone tell me, besides the first lady, the second lady, my assistant, and everyone else?
Well, Pat, that's even lower than it was before. I understand, but he's going to be sitting now.
Quiet, please.
That's where the chair's going? That's where the chair?
Here we go. Picture.
Picture. Great, so we're gonna shoot.
We're rolling.
And.
Apple 91 Baker, take one. Hey, Mark.
And this time, one cue for everyone, Kevin.
Very good.
Ready, and action, everyone.
Nico, can you meet me in my office in a few minutes? Thank you.
Cut. Okay. Guys, I need a woman's hair. Tell hair to run in.
I will be back in a minute. Doesn't matter what color.
Can I look at that? Go ahead.
Didn't mind the phone. That's good.
I want to see what he's doing so I can sniff around.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
It is? Just to make sure he's getting
Nicole, could I see you now, please?
I need to. Oh, yeah.
Sniffing each other.
Excellent idea. We'll just get this.
Nicole, could I see you in my office now?
You want to shoot it?
Yes.
Okay, pictures up.
Apple 91 Baker, take four. Hey, Mark.
Ready? And background.
Action.
Nicole, could I see you in my office now?
Steve, have you noticed the feet yet?
Oh no, I haven't.
I think you've noticed the feet
Okay,
before
right,
the
right,
intercom.
Ready on the belt.
Rebels.
Rolling.
Action.
Nicole, could I see you in my office now?
Yes, Inspector.
Ah, Nicole, I was wondering if you think
the weather is going to stay this mild.
I certainly hope so.
Do you think the weather is going to change?
Let's keep our fingers crossed that it stays this mild.
Cut. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, because I noticed all this. Sean said, when he looked in the mirror.
All right, Marty, when the chair's ready, we're ready.
What?
We're rolling. Pictures up.
Apple 91 Denver, take 4. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Action.
Let's keep our fingers crossed that it stays this mild.
Cut. Very good. Brent, moving on.
Good.
Steve.
Nice.
Perfect.
When I heard MGM was going to do the Pink Panther, I thought, great, I would love to do the titles. One of the things about the Pink Panther is it's what everybody identifies as character, animation, and title. So obviously I was really looking forward to doing it because you're messing around with a classic. So it's a real nice challenge, and yet you have to update it.
I've known Bob Kurtz for a long time, since I had hair. He loves what he does. His laugh is infectious. He's got a huge amount of experience because he has known and worked with a lot of the greats, you know, in Hollywood animation for many, many years.
Eric and I have worked together a lot. We've been friends for a long time. Every time we've worked together, stuff is spectacular. Everybody comes in and goes, ooh, you know, oh, Eric did that. Of course, you can see Eric did that. We're hoping this is going to be the best Pink Panther title ever. But the only way it could be is if it plays homage to those who went before us.
The very first Pink Panther titles that were animated were directed by Friz Freleng. You can't think about the Panther without thinking about Friz Freleng. You know, it was really Friz that created that personality, and the animators followed through on it. Two things that are the hallmarks of Friz Freleng's animation are razor-sharp timing and the most beautiful ability to time animation to music.
Way back in one of the earlier Pink Panthers, there was an animator named Ken Harris.
Ken animated the very first Pink Panther titles in 1963. Ken developed this great little step hop walk for the Panther. So it was kind of step, 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 step.
And we just wanted to be true, throw in a little bit of the classic in something that's new.
And it was great to actually try and animate that for this. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch there. You've got a great director, a great animator, and the character, and that particular animation had a huge, huge impact.
The producers of the film gave me about a week to come up with an idea. So I just sat down and wrote the gags. And basically, when I'm doing it, I have to time my gag business to the credits and where they're going to fall. And after I wrote it, we did what we call an animatic, or we cut it to film. And from then on, I edited to see how the jokes would work and how the gags would work. And then you go and you design it and you lay it out. And then you do the pencil test. And I just love pencil test.
As an animator, the most compelling thing is being able to take a pile of blank paper and saying, can I convince an audience that this character lives?
If you look at the pencil test, that's the animator's drawings, bottom lit, under a light.
Before it's finished, before it goes through all the processes to make it look beautiful and in color and all that stuff.
And you get to see the real life of what is supposed to be happening, what the acting is. pencil test is really what audience ought to see, because that's pure. Our job is then to maintain the energy and the vitality into the finish. The Panther, as we know, is such a classic character. We wanted to have the old look, but yet have the new look.
When we're first revealing the Panther inside the diamond, we're seeing his back view.
And he's coming at you, and he's doing it to the music, and the music is just starting to tell you, okay, we're now in Pink Panther land. So there are things like in designing, and so that the animators can move him better, so we can see his features. The eyes have been made larger, so you can see what he's doing, because he's a prankster, he's a jester. It's real important that you see his poses. So he's sort of streamlined a little bit, but to the average film goer, he'll look the same. Clouseau, like he'd always been, should be short. He bumps into the director's title, turns around, gives it a karate chop, and then hurts himself. Well, from here on in, he's going to do all kinds of things to the titles. He's going to set him on fire by accident. You know, he can just destroy things. Clouseau, he's basically blind by his own viewpoint of life. And, you know, when he goes to put the gun away, it blows out his crotch. It's very quick, but his pants expand.
Just to say, yes, something's going on in there before the blast. One thing that was really great about this particular set of titles is that it had a lot of dance in it, based on the tango.
I love animation dance. I studied tangos. He studied tangos. Those are really tango steps.
They kind of do that in the tango. It's a little bit kind of a,
well,
you know, and then around.
And then look at the attitude here. The Panther is so cool. You know, this is love.
Clouseau's legs go wow, 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 and dangle in midair because the feet never really touch the ground.
Yeah, he'd be a great dancer if his feet could touch the ground.
Wow, wow, wow.
And then Eric wanted to do this idea, and I said, yeah, go for it. Where, you know, the Panther drives the knee into the groin of, of Clouseau.
They do that kind of stuff in the tango sometimes. The other thing that you can't divorce from the Pink Panther is Henry Mancini's music.
It was Clouseau, the Panther, and Henry Mancini was the third character.
It's so recognizable. That sax riff, the coolness of that is as much a part of the character as how he's drawn and how he moves. Also, there's great accents in Mancini's work, which you can use for animation humor. He'll hit a great bam on the horns once in a while that you can really throw a nice animation accent to.
That music is great, and I let that be my guide.
The music scene had a number of different elements, and we wanted to see the music.
So I went out and bought the sheet music of Henry Mancini's The Pink Panther theme, which I thought, why not?
The idea to have the music play within the titles brought about the need for computer-generated animation.
The CG in our film and the special effects are hidden. You'll see it where the sheet music is wrapping all around. That is CG.
And all of this has to finally be composited with a traditional 2D animated Clouseau.
I love the stuff that can happen in animation where Clouseau, he wants to get behind the poster and see what's going on. He doesn't get behind the poster, he gets inside the poster. And then the Panther walks in with that neat double skip, and away forever till the next film, the Clouseau goes whipping away, and it's over. You know, doing the Pink Panther titles was a terrific opportunity, because we know the bar is high. You know, hopefully we brought it higher, you know, so that people will say, hey, I want to do this. I want to learn how to draw. I want to learn how to stage. I want to make people laugh. I want to give them a gift. And I think that's what it's about.
Yeah.
I never thought of him again until the semi-final game of the International Soccer Championships. France against China, with the winner advancing to the finals. I happened to be there with the President and the Minister of Justice. I had been invited because of my recent nomination for the Medal of Honor. I've been nominated 7 times. I have never won. But still, 7 nominations, that's something. Anyway, Gluon, always the narcissist, came out for his customary ovation. Pink Panther diamond. There's a tiny flaw at the center in the shape of a leaping panther, which is how it got its name.
I said, no ballet, just football. Yes, play your game. Your game, not his.
Gluon's girlfriend at that time was Zania, the international pop star. They had been having quite a stormy affair. Their fights were chronicled in all the tabloids. As you know, by the end of regulation time, the score was tied and the game went into sudden death. For a patriotic Frenchman and true fan like myself, it was almost too much. With 1 minute left, Gluon sent in some young player, a virtual unknown, and signaled for the great Bizou to come off. Of course, Bizou was not pleased. He wanted that winning goal for himself. The game went on. And then, the miracle. stadium full of people, Gluon collapsed, dead. And the Pink Panther had disappeared. As you'd expect, the newspapers fed on Gluon's murder with a frenzy. For them, the world had stopped. For me, it was an opportunity for my greatest triumph. The Medal of Honor ceremony is only 3 weeks away. 3 weeks.
You'll get it this time.
Don't patronize me. It is a disaster. If I officially take on the Gluon case myself and don't find the killer before the ceremony, I will look like an ass, and they will give the medal to someone else. Again. If I assign someone else to the case and he finds the killer, he will win the medal. It is a nightmare. I should win the Medal of Honor. It would glorify France for me to win the Medal of Honor. I know what we need for the Gluon case.
What?
An incompetent, an unimaginative, by-the-book, low-level incompetent who will plod along, getting nowhere, with the media watching his every step, and while he is getting nowhere, I will put together the finest team of investigators in France, and we will hunt down the killer, retrieve the Pink Panther diamond, and then the Medal of Honor will be mine.
And who is this incompetent?
Oh, I think I know the perfect man for the job. Find him and bring him to Paris. His name is Clouseau. Gluon was killed by a poisoned dart of Chinese origin. Sophisticated in design, but quite simple to use. It could have been delivered by hand by anyone within arm's reach. Or it could have been shot through a tube, even a simple drinking straw, with accuracy of up to 30 feet. Yes. Renard, you and your team will analyze the television footage, identify each person in the kill zone, obviously a 30-foot radius, identify them and investigate them secretly.
Yes, Chief Inspector.
Also, you will locate every manufacturer of darts in China.
It will be done.
Ça va?
Sir.
Your team will investigate anyone that Gluon had dealings with, anyone he owed money to, anyone who might have a grudge against him, anyone he might have kicked in the shins during a soccer match. If he bullied a child in kindergarten, I want to know where that child was at the time of the murder. Is that clear?
Yes, Chief Inspector.
Good. Bring in Clouseau.
Good morning, mademoiselle.
And where is the press conference?
Go under the arch, through the door on the right, and down the hall.
Ah, the arch. Magnificent. One does not often see the authentic 18th century French molding. It is so finely done. And to think it has been here for over 200 years.
He looks good anywhere.
Well, we shall see about Mr. Bisou.
You looking at something? Yes, my friend. I would like you to come down to the station. You are the soccer player known as Bisou.
Then the new inspector sent this personal message to the murderer.
Killer, I will find you, because I am a servant of the nation, because justice is justice, and because France is France.
With reporters already calling him the Pink Panther detective, it appears a new hero has arrived, bringing hope to a nation still mourning the loss of a legend. And that's the news.
Pink Panther detective, it's absurd. He's done absolutely nothing, and already they're painting him like a hero.
He gave them a good soundbite.
We'd better be careful. He may not be as stupid as we think. Get out.
I see you enjoy wordplay. We will have to have lunch one day and engage in a little verbal jousting.
I'm sure you're quite the raconteur.
Yes. Ah! I see you have repaired the molding. Today's French craftsmen are every bit as good as those of the 18th century. This is where it wants to be, and we should respect that.
Maintenance!
Hey, Mark!
Hey, Mark!
Here we go. Hold it. Hold the rain.
Thank you.
And rain. Rain it.
Rain? Hey, we should have a sign for cut. Okay? Wait a minute.
All right, I'll yell it. Oh, man. I would like to buy a hamburger! 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 This is an insult. I am Inspector Clouseau. I'm going to report this to the highest person I know in France. What is your name? Terry. Terry what?
Aki-sauce.
Well, Mr. Teriyaki sauce, I am going to report you. Ponto, take a photo of this. Take a photo of this outrage so I can show it to the highest person I know in France.
If there's anything else I can get for you, just let me know. Enjoy your flight.
Red.
Oh, hello, Inspector. Oh, no, I'm sorry, sir. Your seat is not in first class.
Not in first class. Another insult. I will trade with someone.
Come with me. You are here?
Trade with me.
Not permissible.
Sorry.
Excuse me. Pardon me, please. Move, please. Oh, hello, Captain.
Hey, baby, wanna go out?
Be a daddy. So
Excuse me, sir. Here you are. And here's your menu. You might want to order now, otherwise, you know, it could take hours.
I am torn between the sushi and the steamed mussels. I'll have the sushi.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen, please fasten your seatbelts.
Excuse me, sir. Here you are, sir.
Thank you.
Occupied. Inte würde.
Business class only.
Let me in! Let me in or I'm going to explode!
Air raid! Take him down! Woo!
Have you seen this? But this is tragic. A sad day for France.
Ponto, we must get to the presidential palace immediately!
Put your seatbelt
I
on.
don't need a seatbelt. Let's see what this baby can do!
Are you all right?
I'm fine, just keep driving!
What is this all about?
Bizot and Glouan were killed by the same person, and I believe the killer will strike again tonight!
Oh, Clouseau should not be on this list. He is not allowed at State Affairs. He has been disgraced and humiliated.
And what about all the reporters who will want to come in?
When the time is right, let them pour in.
Bizot was killed by a rifle. Glouan by a poison Chinese dart.
Sometimes I like steak, and sometimes I like chicken. But think, Ponton. I'm losing my change! Think, Ponton, think. What do the two dead men have in common?
Zanya?
Exactly!
She killed them?
No, Ponton. She is the next victim. Drive, Ponton. Drive for all you are worth.
Hang on!
Drive, Ponton, drive!
I'm sorry, but your name is not on the list.
Not on the list.
Dreyfus must have made sure you cannot get in.
Chief Inspector? What? Our men have reported sighting of Inspector Clouseau.
Clouseau? I know what he is up to. He wants to try to make the arrest himself. If you see Clouseau, put him in cuffs for trespassing and parade him through the party.
Well, aren't we pretty?
What do you want?
I know you killed Glouan.
Don't be ridiculous.
Oh, believe me, I don't care. I hated him. But the ring belongs to me.
I don't have the ring. And even if I did, why would it belong to you?
It belongs to me because I want it. And I always get what I want. And if I don't get what I want, ugly things can happen to a very pretty girl. Beauty is so fragile, don't you think?
Dr. Pang has arrived. I never thought of him again until the semi-final game of the...
What you're about to see is the soccer sequence. It's not a deleted scene, obviously. It's a lengthier version of the soccer sequence in the movie. I've put it on here, A, because I just love the soccer sequence, and I never tire of watching it. The other reason is that this version, which is probably almost a minute longer, is most loyal to my storyboards. The reality is that I rarely storyboard because I actually believe in leaving the leeway for actors to come up with blocking and find inspiration wherever they can. And sometimes you inhibit the process by locking into preconceived images. In this sequence, because we were dealing with 15,000, 17,000 extras a day, we shot this whole sequence in 3 days, so we needed a plan. And as a result, we storyboarded it. That's Jonathan Brown, my DP, and me, and a storyboard artist. And almost every image that you see here is totally, exactly faithful to the way we drew it up. Doing this sequence outside of Prague 3 days in a row was genuinely one of the high points of my directing career. The energy that comes from having that many people screaming full voice. It's just an ultimate rush. What you're also noticing is look at the diamond. The diamond was actually pink, but does not photograph as pink. And so we ended up in the final movie using digital effects to colorize the diamond so it would read as pinker. You'll also notice in this longer version, we're planting more hints. Like, look at that. We're setting up Bizou as the jealous ex-boyfriend of Zanya and setting up his motivation for wanting to kill Gluon. So there's a lot more Bizou in this version. You'll also notice more bits involving Gluon basically blowing off Yuri, which ultimately is Yuri's motivation for killing him. I've not ever done a sports movie, and so the experience of watching this sequence with an audience where, you know, the music is blasting and the sound effects are blasting and the crowd is nuts, it's really a rush, and it actually whet my appetite for doing more large-scale kind of crowd sequences, and, you know, it appealed to the sports movie fan in me. This is more Bizou stuff. He actually really worked hard to get some soccer skills, and I feel bad to the actor William Abadi that we cut it out. But again, it shows more game footage, just fills out the sequence. We cast both teams largely out of England. We imported Chinese and various Caucasian soccer players from England and basically let them play for 3 days. Here we have this whole bit where he's actually pulling out Bizou. This is Bizou's other motivation for killing him, is that Bizou gets pulled out of the game. And I love this. I love the fight that William gets into with Jason Statham. I would have loved to leave the long version in the movie, but it is a Pink Panther movie, and people want to get started. And most of all, they want to get to Clouseau, and that's why it got shortened. And look how Gluon basically starts taunting the audience.
But the game went on. And then, the miracle.
Again, all these players are from England. We flew them from England to Prague to do this sequence. Scott Adkins, by the way, whose name I couldn't quite recall when I did the main movie commentary, that's the name of this actor from England who's also a brilliant martial artist who we brought in from England to play the soccer player who does that backwards windmill kick. That's actually a karate kick, and we just, as I said, kept throwing him soccer balls until he connected. And every time, you know, and remember, we're doing this. We're literally throwing ball after ball after ball. My first AD, Marty Schwartz, throwing them to him one after another in front of 15,000 people who are waiting for this dude to connect. And every time he whiffed, they would be like, oh. And when he finally connected on the one kick that ended up in the movie, it was like an explosion. It rocked.
At that moment, in front of a stadium full of people, Gluon collapsed, dead.
This was one of the first images that came to me when I signed on to the movie, is this idea of craning down from the dead man's face and pulling along the arm to see the missing ring.
As you'd expect, the newspapers fed on Gluon's murder with a frenzy. For them,
a portion of this scene is in the movie, but one of the things that happened is that as we tightened the film, we really felt, and we learned, frankly, in responses from early audiences, that they wanted to get to the comedy. So, consequently, a lot of this plot setup that involves Dreyfus, even though it's fantastically acted by Kevin Kline, audiences didn't have the patience for it. They had the patience for it later in the movie, but not in the first half hour. Notice, by the way, that he's being fitted for a tuxedo kind of dinner jacket and getting chalk-marked by the tailor there, and now he walks away from the fitting pedestal. If you watch the regular movie, you'll notice that he's in this bizarrely marked-up jacket. And you have no idea why he's in this jacket that's got like cloth lapels and chalk marks all over it, and yet no one ever notices it. But now that you have seen the preamble to that sequence, you know why.
By the book, low level.
It goes to show you how much is unnoticeable if you're into the story. Audiences will forgive you so many things if they're into the story.
While he is getting nowhere, I will put together the finest team of investigators.
Kevin Kline was a fascinating actor to work with because he reminds me actually in many ways of Bonnie Hunt, who did Cheaper by the Dozen for me, in that he'll always give you one take as scripted, but then he's going to give you 4, 5, 6, 7 variations where he's either changing the lines or maybe he's keeping the lines the same, and he's giving you radical variations on the performance, different approaches. And it's fantastic because editorially it gives you a lot of options when you're in the cutting room. And as you see, the opening animation used to dissolve from this push in on the drawing of the diamond, but we slid the opening up to follow the dead man. In the current movie, as you know, Clouseau walks up those steps and straight into Nicole's office. We took out this entire scene, which I really like for a number of reasons. It's well acted by Kevin.
In design, but quite simple to use. It could have been delivered by hand.
But look at this. I love these kind of jagged flash cut flashbacks that show alternate scenarios in which the murder might have happened. I love all that. I love the sound work that we had done. But again, people were so itching for the first big laugh. And every time we screen the movie, the first big laugh is when Nicole gets on Steve Martin's shoulders. That's where we know we had him. And ultimately, people's hunger and tolerance for plot, for investigation, was far lower than their hunger for laughter.
Ça va? Sure. Your team will investigate anyone.
But look at this. This is an example of what Kevin Kline brings. Look, he's got the pointer, right, which establishes a pointer. Look at Kevin Kline's physicality. And look at how he uses the pointer to bully his subordinate and suggest the stabbing of Glouan with the poison dart. That was something Kevin came up with, a little piece of behavior in the middle of one take. And then it segues into Clouseau entering the office.
Good morning, mademoiselle.
And where is the press conference?
I've described to you the rehearsal sessions that would occur between Kevin, Steve, and I at Steve's apartment in New York. One of the things that came out of it was this idea of him admiring this old antique archway, and the idea that being Clouseau, he screws it up. This is really funny, but within the movie, it never quite played, and Steve and I are to this day a little surprised and a little bewildered as to why, because it's good physical comedy. What's about to happen? Bam. That wasn't supposed to happen. Steve got totally clocked on the back of the head, and he kept with it.
He looks good anywhere.
Well, we shall see about Mr.
This scene, as you know, is in the movie. What isn't in the movie is the scene that follows it, where he goes and he basically calls in Bizou for questioning. I remember this vividly. We shot this in the Bronx, I believe, outside a college there. We built those bleachers. Steve had called me when he was rewriting the script, and he said, what about an idea where I'm fiddling with the screw, and it strangely makes the entire bleachers collapse into a slide? Would that be hard to do? And I'm like, yeah, it would be hard to do. We got to build an entire collapsible bleacher. But I think it's funny. So let's not worry about the money and the difficulty. Let's do it. So we built it, and it ultimately didn't play as that funny. But I had to put it here because we went to a lot of work to create these bleachers.
I would like you to come down to the station. You are the soccer player known as Bizou.
Then the new inspector.
This is another great scene with Kevin, who's going with this idea that he is indigestion because Clouseau's getting more and more famous. It's a cute little scene.
Servant of the nation, because justice is justice, and because France is France.
With reporters already calling him the Pink Panther detective, it appears a new hero has arrived, bringing hope to a nation still mourning the loss of a legend. And that's the news.
Pink Panther detective, it's absurd. He's done absolutely nothing, and already they're painting him like a hero.
He gave them a good soundbite.
We'd better be careful. He may not be as stupid as we think.
Kevin insisted on downing this entire bottle in one shot.
Get out.
I see you enjoy wordplay.
This is the scene later where they're talking about wordplay and raconteur. And this is, again, I spoke in the commentary about planting a joke and then calling it back. This is the callback of the arch gag.
Ah! I see you have repaired the molding. Today's French craftsmen are every bit as good as those of the 18th century.
Now that I'm watching it, I'm really bummed this isn't in the movie. It's funny.
This is where it wants to be, and we should respect that.
Should have left it in. Oh, I forgot about that too. Wow, see, sometimes you make these decisions and you regret them. And literally as I'm watching this, doing the commentary, kind of regretting this because this is funny stuff. And the clacky balls pay off.
Hey, Mark!
Hey, Mark!
The idea, it used to be in Steve's script that at the end of I Would Like to Buy a Hamburger sequence, he had this totally surreal idea that he's lashed to a mast in the middle of a rainstorm, and he's still doing the coaching of his dialect. So this is totally surreal, and people were confused. So this is Steve doing it in the fake rainstorm lashed to a mast.
I would like to buy a hamburger! 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 I would like to buy a hamburger!
This is the airport/airplane sequence that used to exist in the script and in the place where we currently have Clouseau being arrested at the airport. Notice this is a different airport. This was shot at the Javits Center in New York. What you're about to see is basically an entire sequence on an airplane. When we started out making the movie, Steve and I thought that if you're going to do a Pink Panther movie, you got to screw with the world. You got to really play with the rules of reality. And so you'll see at this scene is of questionable realism. What we found when we put it together and watched it play with an audience is that, in fact, the world is best left real so that Clouseau can be absurd. When the world itself becomes absurd, then it no longer contrasts with Clouseau's kind of bumbling unreality. And as you'll see, this is an airplane that is not at all based on reality.
Excuse me.
You see the woman nursing her baby up in the luggage stow area? There's the captain drinking. As you can see, this took a lot of work. We basically built an entire fake airplane and made it look like this. We had 4 cabins that we kept redressing in order to create the illusion of 20 cabins. Again, kind of funny now, right? You're laughing, I'm laughing, but sometimes things play funny as standalones, and they don't play funny in the context of a movie. We love this folding chair with the rope seatbelt.
And here's your menu. You might want to order now, otherwise, it could take hours.
I am torn between the sushi and the steamed mussels. I love the sushi.
This scene, unlike the earlier one with the archway, I'm not actually regretting deleting it. Though Steve has always had a bittersweet feeling about this because again, we know that the scene is funny. It's a little kind of, reminiscent of the Zucker brothers and Airplane and all of that. And it doesn't quite fit in our movie. But again, this is a cool shot. We mounted a plate of sushi to the front of a Steadicam. And again, now, we had 4 cabins, right? So that was cabin 1. This is 2. Still haven't cut. This is cabin 3. Still no cut. There's our first cut. Now we're starting all over again, but we've redressed them to look like different cabins. Now it's all moldy and disgusting. Livestock, always a good laugh. Again, that's a cool rig, the rigging of the sushi to the front of a Steadicam.
Sir?
Thank you.
We, of course, when we did screen this, got a lot of collective oohs. Appropriately grotesque sound effects.
Occupied. Ute würde.
I know, it's funny. Why is it not in the movie? It just wasn't funny in the movie. It's sometimes it's like you can't quite figure it out, but context is everything. Part of the problem, I think, is, for one thing, it's a long setup. I mean, a long setup. And it kind of feels like it's a different movie suddenly, right? Because it's, a totally unreal, absurdist world that we've created there. Oh, I love I don't know if you listen, go back and listen. That girl who's standing above talking to the Hasidic Jew, she's kind of flirtatiously saying, "So, how long you been a Chassid?" Like a pickup line. Always struck me as funny.
Business class only.
I always like the kind of evil witch flight attendant. As you'll see, she gets worse.
Let me in or I'm going to explode!
Air raid! Take him down!
Have you seen this? But this is tragic. A sad day for France.
Tonton, we must get to the presidential palace immediately!
This deleted scene is similar in a way to the Airplane, because this was an idea that we had had where Clouseau's driving to the palace and he ends up going out the back window and hanging on. And again, it's a funny idea, but it's just too unreal. And again, when the world becomes unreal, when the world becomes absurd, Clouseau becomes less absurd.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Clouseau should not be on this list. He is not allowed at State Affairs. He has been disgraced and humiliated.
And what about all the reporters who will want to come in?
When the time is right, let them pour in.
This was a great rig. I mean, basically, we built an articulating, pivoting diving board off the back of the smart car, and it was such that Steve Martin could lie on it, his stunt double could lie on it, and you had no sense of it. It went right down into the front of his shirt, and it would pivot back and forth. But as you can see, it kind of takes you out of the movie because it's not the most realistic thing you've ever seen.
Drive for all your words! Hang on! Drive, Ponto, drive!
This is kind of funny that he's basically dragged him the entire way there. And I love the tracks that it leaves on the walkway, on the drive up. Pops up as if nothing happened.
Clouseau?
I'm sorry, but your name is not on the list.
Not on the list.
Dreyfus must have made sure you cannot get in.
Chief Inspector?
This scene coming up between Beyonce and Roger Rees is actually a nice scene, and I think it's well acted on both their parts. The idea was initially to keep the idea that LaRock, played by Roger Rees, was a viable suspect, so that you'd be more surprised when it turned out that Yuri was the bad guy. So it's a scene of him threatening Beyonce, and I mean, it's beautifully lit by Jonathan Brown, and it's one shot with kind of a slow push in, but ultimately we didn't need it.
I know you killed Glouard.
Don't be ridiculous.
Oh, believe me, I don't care. I hated him. But the ring belongs to me.
I don't have the ring. And even if I did, why would it belong to you?
It belongs to me because I want it. And I always get what I want. And if I don't get what I want, ugly things can happen to a very pretty girl. Beauty is so fragile, don't you think?
I love this breath that Beyonce does and lets out very slowly.
Dr. Pang has arrived.